The rot everyone feared was a life-or-death problem in the Viking world. And before we go further, subscribe to History Vault now, because what follows explains how Norse builders stopped decay so fast and so reliably that their ships crossed oceans and their wooden structures survived brutal northern climates. Wood rot was not a slow inconvenience to the Vikings. It was an immediate threat that could sink a ship, collapse a hall, or destroy stored wealth in a single season. The Norse lived in some of the wettest, coldest, and most decay-friendly environments in Europe. If rot took hold, survival itself was at risk. The solution they developed was not a single trick in isolation, but a rapid, repeatable method that attacked rot at its biological core. Understanding it reveals why Viking ships, pulled from the seabed, still hold their shape 1,000 years later. Vikings understood rot as a living enemy, not a material flaw. Modern thinking often treats rot as something that simply happens to wood over time. Vikings knew better. They recognized decay as a living process driven by moisture, fungi, and trapped air. Their approach was aggressive and preventative. Instead of waiting for damage, they altered the wood's environment so rot could not begin. This mindset shaped every stage of timber use, from forest to finished structure. Speed mattered. Once a tree was felled, the clock started ticking. Vikings acted immediately. The instant hack was controlled, charring combined with resin saturation. The core Viking solution was, deceptively simple and brutally effective. Wood exposed to moisture, especially ship planks, posts and structural beams, was lightly charred and then saturated with natural resins or tar. This process could be completed quickly, even in the field. Charring the surface created a thin carbon layer. Carbon does not rot. It resists fungi, insects, and moisture penetration. This alone dramatically slowed decay. But Vikings did not stop there. Hot pine tar, rich in natural phenols and acids, was brushed or rubbed into the still warm wood. Heat opened the wood's pores. The tar penetrated deeply instead of just sitting on the surface. This combination sealed the wood both biologically and physically. Pine tar was not a coating. It was, in fact, a chemical weapon against decay. Viking pine tar was produced slowly in earthen kilns, not rushed. The result was a dense, sticky substance loaded with antifungal compounds. When absorbed into wood, it altered the internal chemistry, making it hostile to rot organisms. This mattered most in ships. Viking longships were constantly wet, alternately soaked with seawater and dried by wind. Untreated wood would have failed quickly. Tar-treated planks resisted swelling, cracking, and fungal attack. The same method protected roof beams, fence posts, and dock pilings. Wherever moisture threatened, tar followed. One overlooked reason this method succeeded is how fast it could be applied. A beam could be charred over an open fire in minutes. Tar application took longer, but required no complex tools. This meant protection happened before decay began. Modern treatments often fail because they are applied too late or rely on surface coatings that trap moisture inside. Vikings sealed wood immediately, while it was still biologically stable. Longships were extreme tests of wood preservation, you know. Thin planks, flexible hulls, saltwater exposure, and freezing temperatures created perfect conditions for rot. Viking shipbuilders learned through failure, refining their methods relentlessly. Planks were shaped green, fitted tightly, and then treated. Seams were sealed with tarred wool. Entire hulls were periodically retarred as maintenance, not as repair. This is why ship remains like those at Oseberg and Gokstad survived centuries underground. The wood was already hostile to decay long before burial. In buildings, the same principles applied. Ground contact posts were charred at the base before installation. Roof beams were tarred or smoked by hearth fires over decades, further hardening them. Smoke itself played a role. Viking longhouses were smoky environments. Smoke deposited phenols and resins onto exposed wood, continuously renewing protection. What modern eyes see as primitive living conditions were, in reality, preservation systems. This knowledge is immediately usable. For outdoor wood projects, begin by lightly charring exposed surfaces using a controlled flame until the surface blackens but does not crack. Allow it to cool. Then apply heated pine tar, linseed oil mixed with tar, or natural resin oils while the wood is warm. Focus especially on end grain and joints, where moisture enters fastest. For posts, char the section that will contact soil and extend treatment several inches above ground level. This alone can multiply lifespan several times over. Maintenance matters, you know. It's important to reapply tar periodically, especially after heavy weather exposure. Vikings did not just treat wood once and forget about it. They maintained it time and again. Modern pressure-treated lumber, well, it often relies on chemicals that, over time, can leach out or even weaken the wood fibres. Viking methods, on the other hand, actually strengthened wood structurally while protecting it biologically. They worked with heat, natural chemistry, and airflow, instead of sealing wood inside plastic barriers. The result was resilience rather than rigidity. Viking wood flexed, dried, and, well, it survived. The real Viking secret was, you know, a deep respect for time and decay. The hack itself is simple, but honestly, the wisdom behind it is not. Vikings accepted that rot is relentless and, well, planned accordingly. They acted early, treated deeply, and maintained regularly. This is exactly why their wooden legacy still teaches lessons today. If this kind of grounded historical knowledge, you know, deepens your understanding of the past and challenges modern assumptions, subscribe to History Vault now and share this guide with others who value real, tested solutions over myths. Viking builders left us proof that rot can be beaten decisively when biology, chemistry, and craftsmanship work together.